butt off, that goes through this. You're getting all the kids and families from Washington Street, Peterson Terrace, Painter Hills, they're all coming through that way too. So it is the path that we teach, kids to go to be safer than going on Route 7, Court Street. So we know that. And I wonder if with less snow now, if we can experiment with leaving the bumps a little bit longer. Okay, but that's not going to solve the problem we just heard until we come up with another solution. I'm just mulling that. I'm also thinking about the value of striping. We talk about that, as an experiment too. And we talked about that on that road and striping for a shoulder that can function sort of as a sidewalk until we get something better, and whether it's worth trying it. And of course, the cars are just going to go around that too. It's not going to slow them the way a bump does, but it's something else to think about. So I just wanted, and I think about that as we're repaving new roads or our roads, with new paving projects, and as we restripe, to use that logic of narrowing the travel lane, because that works to slow traffic down. There are also things called bananas, so that tighten the road. So instead of a bump, you could experiment with that. And I don't know, Bill, if you know what I'm talking about, but it's another device that's not a bump, but it's on the side. They call them like bananas, that tighten the travel lane. So I just wanted to offer that as another option for us to consider. I know you've got time, so it's very quick. I love the bumps. I live on Rogers Road. I've lived there for 11 years. I love the bumps. I think we ought to try and find a way to they're not so intrusive to one house right now. You can put them at my house. It's just not a good location. I'm deaf in all our bedrooms or in the back of the house. You would love to have them in my house. Yeah, we'll take them, but we love the bumps. It's so much safer now than it was before. Thank you.
My name is Chelsea Hescock, and I live in front of the bump, and I'm on 153 in Rogers Road. I have two small children, a 5-year-old, 2-year-old, who are both learning how to ride bikes, and they're very excited to play in our backyard, and I'm petrified that my 2-year-old will run into Rogers Road. And it is very scary to have small children on a road that is so heavily trafficked when it is supposed to be a residential area. I'm not a huge fan of the bumps and that I have to go over them numerous times a day, but I am a huge fan of the reduction in traffic. I am a huge fan of the reduction in speed of the traffic that does still choose to come through as a throughway. I'm happy to have them in front of my house again until we can have a reduction measurement. I'm so happy about the sidewalks, and thanks for all of your work in securing a grant for that. I'm really looking forward to it, especially as my kids become school age and will be walkers to school. One of the things that we've talked about, and I haven't had a chance to talk with many of my neighbors about it, is possibly taking off the opportunity for South Route 7 to come through Rogers Road and Danielle, creating a cul-de-sac, essentially, a residential cul-de-sac cut off from Route 7 on the south side. And then that way, as long as we can improve the way to exit off of Monroe Street, that could be a way to really significantly and permanently decrease traffic. I have not done much research or talked to many of my peers about it, but it would essentially make it a private residential cul-de-sac instead of a residential throughway for traffic on both sides of Route 7, cutting through South Peterson Drive or Terrace or whatever you call it, all the way through South Washington Street. People take that whole back road to cut through and bypass Route 7. So in favor. I'm right in front of one, 2 small children. I do appreciate the safety improvements that we've seen, even if they are a burden for other reasons. But as long as it's a short term, I'm in favor. Thank you.
My name's Barbara Drake-Click. I live on the corner of Rogers Road and Daniel Drive, right across the street from these folks. We had someone drive through our yard once when the speed bumps were first put in. It was pretty upsetting to go out there and see tire tracks, but it has not happened since then. So it happened once. The noise, I don't find it's really increased much from what it was before. I mean, there were delivery trucks and pickups, like trailers full of mowers and things like that before. So, they rattle and bump and moan every time they go down the street. They did that before the speed bumps, and they do it now. Unlike these folks, we have an empty lot between Rogers Road and our house. We have a double lot. So we don't feel any sort of vibration, I'm happy to say. But by and large, I'm really strongly in support of the speed bumps. And don't find it to be anything of the sort.
Okay, I'll just real quick. Megan James, I also live on Rogers Road, directly across from Susan. We're like equidistant between both of the speed bumps, which is a great benefit to me because I have two children, ages 10 and 7, and we walk and bike to Mary Hogan and all around town. And I will say that I feel such a relief about going out of my house toward the road to walk anywhere, because we can now look to the right and we can see if there's a car on the other side of the speed bump, we can cross. And we know it's going to be safe to cross. And I can say to my kids, if the car is on the other side of the speed bump, it's okay to cross because they're going to see you and they're going to have to slow down and it's safe. We also have our mailbox on the other side of the street. So my kids can now get the mail, which is really special. So I understand that they, it sucks that people are speeding up between them occasionally. I hear that sometimes. It sucks that they're driving onto people's lawns. But I'm just a huge fan. I love the bumps, just like Susan. And I understand it's not a permanent solution. I'm really excited for sidewalks and any other things we can do. I love Chelsea's idea of cutting off access to Route 7. I think there's absolutely no reason it needs to connect to Route 7 right there. And yeah, so yay, speed bumps.
Okay, well, we have a lot of information. We had a good experiment this summer, and we'll be talking about it. Appreciate the citizen involvement and feedback that we got. Wendy, obviously, is the leader of the gang. He did a nice job with that. So appreciate it on that. As far as next steps, I would say our safety committee will continue to work with Bill and infrastructure on what the plan will be for next year. I don't see a permanent solution going forward that fast, but maybe, I don't know. So no promises on a permanent solution, but I would imagine that without a permanent solution, we would probably have to go to that. Just because of the volume of citizens that are involved and equipment data. We really need to get the bill and get feedback to set something about deterioration of the road. And look at it myself.
But we would happily leave those bounds or the speed bump down in front of our house. I know it has to be in front of one side or the other of the end now. That's why it's positioned the way it was. We would have to do it on the other end. But we would have it in front of our house next time. That would be
All right. So, I guess this was what the major, I saw these people, they came tonight, didn't know we were having, what the party was about. So, you appreciate everybody.
I don't like seeing that.
Better know what's coming. So I think we need to
come on, I think you're gonna stand up to us for library. Don't run off, we're looking for donations to the library.
Thanks for all your.
And the wastewater treatment plant.
All right.
Is there a
everyone
bunch of
hear me
them
okay?
door?
You guys can hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry, Dana, the room is.
Yeah, okay, great. So we've got a couple of things for the library to get through tonight. The first one is pretty straightforward. I'm for approval to submit a grant application to the Vermont Historic Preservation Department, $20,000. It would go towards the restoration of the library's historic masonry as part of the overall renovation project. So the town does need, if it's awarded, the town needs to provide matching funds, but that would come out of the bond, the money that's already been allocated to this project.
I'll move to approve the Issaquah Library, Public Library's grant application to the Vermont Historic Preservation Grant Program for $20,000.
Second, any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
Okay, great, thanks everyone. The next thing up has to do with our temporary location at the Bank of Middlebury. We have always known that there was going to need to be some level of work done to make that space ready for use as a library. And we budgeted for it as part of the overall project budget. Jamie McKenna, the Chief Project Officer at the bank, has been super helpful in working with Judith and I, kind of pulling together all the different areas of work that need to be done. I included a memo in the packet that lists some of that work. Almost all of it has to do with security and safety. And I think Jamie might be here either in person or on Zoom. Good question.
He's here.
But the total as of now stands at about $70,000 altogether. The bank is doing some construction, some remodeling anyways this fall, so this work will take place while they're doing renovations anyways. So it kind of works out nicely in that way. But I'm looking for approval for these expenditures so that we can get the space ready for the library.
And I'll move to approve the use of existing capital funds totaling $70,537.50 by the library for improvements to the Duclos building.
Second, comments or questions?
I failed to read this before, but I see that sprinkler work is listed as TBD. Do we have any estimates on how, what the changes are to sprinkling or what like that?
We don't yet. Our marshal walked through Monday, and one sprinkler head might have to move a little bit, so it shouldn't be anything major, but for the wall, that's the divide and from the library, it's right on a
Perfect.
sprinkler.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it shouldn't be anything major.
Any other questions or comments?
There will be some expense when we give back the space to National Bank, right?
What was the question, Farquhar? Sorry.
Now, there should be some expense when we give the space back to National Bank, right?
Oh, you mean there will be some expense? Yes, like
You have to undo it.
patching and painting the walls and getting it back. Yeah, yes. I would think that would be much lower than
Yes.
70,000.
Other questions or comments? Okay, with the motion, all in favor of approving the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right.
Okay, great. This next one is the really exciting one. We have found a space to store the collection while construction is going on. It's really exciting. Vermont Industrial Parks LLC is donating space in their facility in Virgin. It's actually the same facility that Shaftesbury Cider is in. So that's kind of fun. It's plenty big enough. We'll be able to set up our shelving there,
And it will be closed to the public. It won't be a public space, but we'll send a librarian over once a day to page materials. People will request books. So it's really incredible. It's keeping the collection available to the community throughout the construction period, which wasn't a given. We weren't sure we'd be able to pull that off. So I'm very grateful to Vermont Industrial Parks who's donating this space to us. We have worked on a letter of intent between the town and Vermont Industrial Parks. It's quite similar to the letter of intent that we did with the bank, and it's been reviewed by Vermont Industrial Parks. They're okay with it, and so now I've got it here for the Selectboard to consider, and I'm requesting we move forward with this because it's really great news.
Is MCTV still going to be part of this, right?
MCTV will have storage at this space. They won't be able to have their office there, but they have found another office.
Yeah. So I'll move to approve the proposed letter of intent between town and Vermont Industrial Park LLC for the use of the storage facility that will serve as temporary library collection site during the upcoming library renovation expansion project.
Second.
Questions or comments on this?
I think we should go further and express our real appreciation to both towns and industrial parks for donating this. I think it's a huge thing. Our appreciation, how do we know?
Yeah, well said.
And good work on your part.
Oh, thanks. Judith Harris provided the connection, so we can thank her as well. Okay, so that one's done, right? The vote?
Nope.
Okay.
So all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so I think at some point we should send a letter of gratitude. Okay, next. Yes.
So can we make a plan for that?
Yeah, Dana, since the town manager's office is in transition, would you like to draft a letter?
I'd be happy to draft something, yeah. That'd be my pleasure.
Thank you, Dana, and if we could just have it in the select board packet to, sign next time, that would be great, thank you.
Yep,
Just didn't want to
great.
be there.
Perfect. No, absolutely.
Well,
Hey, every meeting needs a timekeeper and a taskmaster. Thank you.
Okay, so the last thing I have tonight is looking for approval to submit a MERP grant application, Municipal Energy Resilience Program. This grant funding, if it was awarded, would be up to $500,000, and it would go towards the geothermal portion of the library's renovation expansion project. This was kind of a multi-step application. The town applied for sort of like a first round grant funding that got us an assessment, and then the assessment allowed us to apply. There was a little, to this next round, the implementation round, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle where the granting agency made some changes to who would be eligible, and for a little while it looked like Middlebury would no longer be eligible to apply for these funds, but then they flip-flopped back and changed their mind, and so now we can apply, which is great. I'm happy to answer any questions about the grant application.
There's no matching from us.
There's no matching from us. The application is interesting in that it is up to $500,000 based on what the assessment says you need. And the assessment, it's a little tricky in our case because the building and the system that were assessed are not what we are going to be working with going forward because of this big project. So I do think it's kind of, it would be, if they awarded funds, it might not be $500,000. They might say, well, we think given all these changes, you really only need $300,000 or something like that. But we are eligible for up to $500,000, so that's what I'm applying for.
Dana, just reviewing the application, as it appears here, the numbers that you've added are 300,000 and then 10,000 and 10,000. probably just a screenshot issue or something in the application.
I'm hopeful that that is just, so this is, it's the only grant application I've ever filled out that was like a Google form.
Yeah,
It's a pretty informal application, so I'm hopeful that that is just an error of the turning it into a PDF, but I will double check that before I.
Okay.
The attachment we got seems to be missing pages 7 to 13. Parts of it are filled out, but then there's the narrative at the end, so, you know, we trust you. You do great grant applications, so hopefully.
Well, so I'm happy to speak to pages 7 to 13. So the town can only submit one MERP application. However, the town could apply for funding to go to multiple buildings. And in fact, I think the town had another, I think the police building was part of the assessment. So, for example, the town could have applied for funds for multiple buildings. And the way that this prints out is a PDF, even though I didn't fill out those sections, it wanted to print the blank. There was like space for 3 additional buildings. It was all blank, so I just didn't save it.
Not critical, just hoping that the system goes through to give credit to the good work you do in grant writing, the electronic glitches.
So I'll move to approve the proposed grant application from Middlebury to Municipal Energy Resilience Program.
Seconded, any comments or questions on?
Laura, certainly, Dana, good work. And given that we're talking about resilience, I wanted you to know that I did drop into the library recently just to ask if you have a plan for power generator backup in the event of climate events, you know, and so I just don't know if that's being considered, and I don't even know if you need it with a geothermal heating system, so I don't know, but I just thought I would put that out there because right now the town only has one building, public building, that has power generator backup, and that's the police department. And given that we do have more weather events, you know, like that, it might just be something that's prudent for us to think about and plan for. And I have no idea how much that costs, so I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I don't know the answer to that, but I do have a meeting with the architect and the design builder tomorrow morning, so I will put that on my list of verification.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed? Okay, before we let you go, I asked Dana about the state's grant decisions, and they're running late, and their excuse is staffing. So I think it'd be easy. They could save the staffing, just give us the money.
Right.
So,
This grant is really important.
yeah.
That was my question.
I know.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
I would like to say one thing, Dana, that was a great birthday party you threw this
Yes.
weekend. It was a huge success and really fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, for saying that, and thanks for coming. We had a great time, and it was really exciting to see so many people just filling up the library building all at once. It really felt like a great celebration, so that's fun.
We could use a bigger library, right?
That's right, yeah, there'll be plenty of rooms to spread out next at the Bison Center.
I'm gonna miss that one.
Me too, I think. Lord knows I won't be planning that one. Around, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
All right, thanks, everyone. Bye.
Here, Mike, online.
Well.
Oh, it's been deferred.
Is that right? Is that-
That's my understanding.
Please check one. So I did the review and everything looks good to me. So I moved to approve total expenditures in the amount of $2,358,086.44, consisting of $2,237,546
detention for constable, and $120,540.34 for payroll for the period of September 11, 2024 to September 24, 2024.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That was a really subdued aye. It's a big check. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well. Okay, select board member concerns, Dan?
I'm good, again, the Middlebury, party was really fabulous.
I was just going to say happy birthday to Middlebury. I missed it. I could not, I had to work all day. My wife went and got an ice cream, which was very good. So a little bit of part of that snow anyway. But it was good.
Happy birthday to Elsie as well. And then as a health educator in the community, when we talk about Turning Point, I really wanted to bring awareness that I think sometimes we make an assumption about the people who utilize resources for substance use and substance use disorder. And the assumption is that they're coming from other places and they're not coming from our neighborhoods, but they are our siblings, they are our family members. And, you know, anyone can overdose, anyone can struggle with substances, anyone can struggle with addiction. And I just wanted to bring awareness that the people who utilize Turning Point, we saw the statistics, you know, really don't cause a lot of issues in the current location, right next to the rec center. And, you know, I've utilized their resources personally and for my school. So I think it's important to just bring awareness in that regard as well about, you know, they are our neighbors, and I think we should really be like leading with curiosity about, you know, why that location and, you know, how we can help out.
Happy birthday to you.
Andy!
Happy
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you.
Andy! Happy birthday to you.
Oh, you
Yay,
guys,
Andy!
so sweet.
I don't know.
Thank you, Heather. Oh,
You should take off this
yeah.
Fred, your birthday party.
No, it's-
I wanted to talk about the Clifford Symposium, which was hosted by Middlebury College this past Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and was incredible. The focus was on housing, and I was invited to be part of a panel on Friday with Representative Jubilee, State Treasurer Mike Pesca, thank you. And Elise Shanebacher from Madison Housing Works. It was phenomenal all the way through. Zeke gave an hour and a half presentation about the economics of Stonecrop Friday morning, and how huge the federal and state monies are to create affordable units at current development prices, and how non-reproducible it is really as a way to grow our way out of here. Yeah, all the conversations were amazing. The folks that brought together and the students that provided energy for it, all phenomenal. Yeah, glad to be invited. Went to like 5 events and they were all amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything, other than, trying to remember what I was in. I was in the discussion, we were interviewing, and one of our town managers, and what other towns doing as far as promoting the opportunities and hope in their town at the conference in Burlington. And I thought, I don't know if we have done that, but it seemed for a community that needs housing and is looking for dollars to come and invest in that community, that would be something that we would be interested in the future. So I think we're a little late on the ball for this year, but we should be thinking of it for next year.
Brian, I don't know if you saw, there was an article in the Rutland Herald maybe 2 weeks ago about a developer parcel, dating event that the town, city was doing. But they're like, we've got these spots that we can develop or redevelop, and bring some developers in and say, what are the challenges or opportunities here? And how should the town be thinking about this and thinking about getting some energy going?
Building materials, when you hear Zeke describe it, doesn't pencil out unless you got the big subsidies. It's very tender community with labor tariffs, there's some other things like
Subsidies, and you have to go vertical.
Right.
That's. Okay, we need a executive session to discuss personnel matters. If somebody take us through that.
I move to enter into executive session with inclusion of town manager and assistant town manager related to, employment of a public officer, as allowed, or I guess as an employee, as allowed under Title I, Section 313A3.
Second, the former town manager. Yeah, good.
Friendly amendment accepted.
Perfect.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Good.
So are you going to talk about the encampment? I saw that on the agenda.